Good afternoon, all the participants. Now we are playing ICAI Moto Song. I request all to put their right hand on their heart. Today's learned faculty and faculty for this whole series, Shri Ghanshyam Pathak sir, Chairman of Ahmedabad branch, C. Famil Shah in his absentia. Today we are going to learn on this third day very crucial aspects of RERA, where we are going to play pivot role as a chartered accountants. And all this we are going to learn today from our faculty, Ghanshyam Bhai Pathak sir. Also, we are running this GST audit series. So if you are interested, then do join that series. It will be tomorrow, second session, but it is quite interesting. But not taking too much of your time, sir. Now the floor is yours. I request you to take it forward. We are starting from 26th slide, and these presentations are already being circulated. So we are continuing with that only. Yes, sir. Pathak sir, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bishan Shah Sahib. Good afternoon, all friends who are again available for me to share my experiences. Today is a, yes, as Shah Sahib elaborated, today is a very, from today onwards, today and maybe some time of the next session as well, we will be focusing on the legal document aspects and Form 3, that is Chartered Account Certificate, to be submitted at the time of project registration and then on every quarter as part of quarterly progress report. Form 5 as annual audit report attachment certificate, and we will be focusing on means of finance report, that is report on means of finance for real estate project, that is also to be certified and signed by chartered accountant. So there are three very important certification aspects that we will be elaborating on. So before we move to chartered accountant domain area, prominent, let us recapitulate that real estate project, the regulation of real estate sector is through registration of every real estate project. The objective of this registration and ultimate objectives to be achieved are that the construction is according to the approved plans by the Development Regulation Authority, that the title of the land and legal documents pertaining to it are appropriate and there are no encumbrances on the real estate project intended to be sold. And third, that the real estate project gets delivered by the promised delivery date. We have so far seen the project registration process first step, that is promoter details. Second step, that is project details, the technical aspects in terms of approved plan and ancillary documents to be provided to the authority. Now we will go to the legal documents that are necessary to be submitted, and then we will go to various certifications by chartered accountants. At the time of registration, Form 3 and means of finance have now been made mandatory for all projects above 25 crores worth of project cost, and for projects with project cost below 25 crore, submission of means of finance has been made voluntary, because at authority it is been objectively considered that the means of finance preparation is a very essential managerial tool for planning and execution of real estate project, and it allows the real estate promoter to have first-hand analysis over various permutation combination for financing mix that he might have to resort to during the course of execution of real estate project, which generally span over 2 to 4 or 5 years of time period. So first we will go to the legal document requirements. So and then we'll come back to the normal presentation process flow. Project document uploads. Here, at the time of registration, the authority must be provided with balance sheet for last 3 years, profit and loss account for last 3 years, director's report, cash flow statement, auditor's report, income tax return, PAN card, KYC details. All these things are important. This past financial records are important when we start evaluating the means of finance, or when we want to evaluate the wherewithal, the financial wherewithal and the market standing of the real estate promoter for authority as well as for the general consumers, because all these things are put in public view on authority website so as to enable the end consumer or investor to have a first-hand look and have his or her judgment for decision making of investing in a real estate project. Now on legal aspects, the title of the real estate project eventually to be transferred to LOT has to be clear, marketable, transferable. So to demonstrate or to establish all these things, all revenue records related documents are to be submitted to authority. That is, land documents, the purchase deed of the land, the Satbar or the revenue record details for the land. Now you can see the Satbar documents combined on PDF, Satbar, 8A form, city survey property card, Gam Namuna Be, Kachi Nond in case of the recent purchase of the land by the promoter, title clear certificate from a lawyer having at least 10 years of practice in title certificate issuance, title report, the search report, registration office search report, encumbrance certificate, whether there is any encumbrance on the project or not. Now this land document also encompasses affidavit in terms of form B, B1 and B2 in case where project is carried out on a land which is not owned by the promoter, but promoter is executing the project in terms of registered development agreement. Simultaneously, the prospective legal documents that are going to be utilized during the execution of real estate project, that is draft of allotment letter, pro forma of agreement for sale, pro forma of sale deed. These documents are also to be submitted to authority at the time of registration. The very primary error which were seen during the course of registration in projects that authority have already registered was that when we say pro forma of sale deed or pro forma of allotment letter or pro forma of agreement for sale, people were resorting to agreement for sale draft or allotment draft or sale deed draft with so many blanks in them, without ensuring the necessary personalization of those pro formas. Say the paragraph of identification of land for the project. The details of land of the project is already available. It is mentioned in the layout plans and other plan approval documents as well. So promoters are expected to personalize these legal documents to the extent information is available at the time of application for project registration. Friends, I am happy to share with you that Gujarat RERA is a leading RERA organization which takes care of a proper due diligence of all legal documents at the time of registration of project. So much so that the development agreements are mandatorily required to be registered. If they are not registered, then they are not acceptable. Registration requires payment of appropriate stamp duty. If that is not carried out, then they are not acceptable. In various circumstances, partners would be bringing land belonging in their personal name to partnership firm or LLP without appropriate legal documentation to support such transfers. If there is documentation, then the proper stamp duty payment and other necessary registration and other necessary legal aspects are at times not adhered to for some economic savings, then they are not acceptable or they are not considered appropriate for project registration. And necessary correction entries or correction procedures are ensured that the promoter carries out and provides appropriate legal document to Gujarat RERA, and then only the project registration is carried out. So much so that Gujarat RERA has carried out authority level communication with Registrar of Stamps, Gujarat State, for ensuring proper clarity on requirements to be seen. In title report certificates also, the lawyers were issuing title report certificates based on sale deeds or transfer documents which are having some internal lacunas in terms of stamp duty payout or registration requirement. Authority has come out with circular 14 supported with communication with Registrar of Stamps, Superintendent of Stamp and Registrar, that what are the necessary precautions under the Stamps Acts are to be ensured by lawyers issuing title clear certificate or title search process, that when and only when the dastavej or the deeds are valid under the law, that are to be ensured by the lawyers issuing these title reports. So friends, in terms of legal documentation, Gujarat RERA have had very well elaborated, identified, and communicated the necessary requirements with respect to project registration. So when the legal documents are found to be in order, then only Gujarat RERA considers them for project registration. So in other words, for any project that is registered by Gujarat RERA, the legal due diligence for the title and reports is considered to be ensured by the authority for the interest of the consumers at large. Friends, here the important aspects are the entire act is for consumer protection. Act mandates that complaints are to be summarily processed, adjudicating procedure has to be summary procedure, and within 16 days authority must come out with a judgment resolving the dispute, providing justice to the aggrieved party under the contract. So all these things requires reverse engineering, that if we have to act in such a stringent timelines with objectivity of delivering the justice, then the registration process and subsequent processes and the necessary documentations made part of this registration process and subsequent processes should be of such a quality and in such a elaborate and inclusive manner that all the information necessary to be considered for dispute resolution are available and are reliable as well. So these are the two guiding principles, that the contracts are executed, registered in a written form, the prescribed pro forma of contract has been prescribed, so that all the necessary clauses are part and parcel of the contract. All supporting and ancillary documents, legal documents, approval documents, KYC documents, and other necessary information are collected, and the information collected are reliable as well. And when reliable, we use the term reliable, they have to be enforceable by law as well. So the stamp duty payment, registration, revenue record updation, all these things are very necessary for speedy grievance redressal or for an appropriate transfer of title to the LOT for future periods, for peaceful possession and onward transfers of the real estate property by LOT. So friends, here I have tried to share the perspective with which legal documents are identified to be collected under the Act, the ancillary processes which are necessary to be ensured, the legal enforcement aspect is ensured in a manner which ensures speedy grievance redressal. The perspective of the authority is being shared with you. Yesterday we have had, in the last session we have discussed about landowner and promoter and their relation in between. As part of legal documentation requirement, you can see on the screen, when registered development agreements are resorted with, affidavit in form B1 and B2 are also mandatorily required to be submitted by promoter and landowner jointly respectively. So here I have tried to elaborate the legal aspects. Now let us come to the necessary clauses which have been made part of the pro forma for agreement for sale. This pro forma for agreement for sale, as prescribed under section 13 Rule 9 of General Rules, which is available as annexure to the General Rules, is comprising of number of clauses. There are few very important clauses which empowers the consumers, which tries and protect the consumer interest with respect to his exposure in real estate procurement or investment. The appropriateness of the form in which the land is brought to the real estate project, either in terms of outright freehold property of promoter or lease agreement or through development agreement. The agreed sale consideration for the real estate project is expressed in terms of carpet area. Carpet area is defined under RERA. Authority has come out with Circular 3, giving pictorial examples for calculation of carpet area as well. So the carpet area of real estate under consideration is to be clearly mentioned in this pro forma for agreement for sale. The price for carpet area subsumes the price for common amenities, for which the LOT is going to have an undivided proportionate share. Now, common area and common amenities are also defined in the Act to mean the entire land for the project or phase of the project, and all other staircase, lift, terrace, open areas, community hall, and other necessary constructions. So, and the cost for all these things is subsumed into the rate of carpet area for the real estate property. So now the Act has made it comparable between project to project and area to area, that if promoter A is selling 50 square meter of carpet area for 50 lakh rupees, so per, or say 25 lakh rupees, so per square meter of carpet area, what is the rate that promoter A is quoting, and per square meter of carpet area, what is the rate promoter B is quoting, is now made comparable. So this is a very very much necessary and appropriate empowerment of consumers. Then the exclusive galleries, balconies, exclusive open terrace, garage, all these attached real estates are to be charged separately. They can be charged separately by promoters, and the price for each of them becomes part and parcel of the agreement for sale. The other important clause is promoter's right to receive money has been linked with actual construction of real estate project that he has attained. In other words, promoter can collect gradual collection of money is possible only when he is able to demonstrate gradual project construction progress, project development progress. The other important clause is the interest to be paid by the promoter, to be charged by the promoter, or to be paid by the promoter to LOT in case the amount becomes payable to the LOT in terms of various clauses of this agreement for sale under the Act and rules. Now this interest rate has to be same for both the ends. Promoter, what interest he charges the LOT, will have to pay the same interest to the LOT in case he has to pay the money to the LOT. The another important clause is FSI, floor space index, utilized by the promoter for the project under registration. Friends, here this clause is very important because the FSI, the non-tangible right over the land for development purposes, is something that once the real estate is transferred to the by the promoter to the real estate LOTs individually and collectively, then any future FSI on the land, undivided proportionate land, and collectively the total land which is transferred to the society through undivided proportionate land transfer to individual LOT, as authority has clearly elaborated this aspect in Circular 30, Order 13. So the future FSI over the land or the phase of the project then belongs to the association of the LOT. There has been instances wherein a society is developed in two phases, Block A and Block B. Block A is constructed up to 7 floors because the FSI at the time of approval under the prevalent GDCR was available to the extent of 7 floors. Block A is constructed, transferred, but the necessary entries in the revenue records is not carried out, that the 50% of the land is transferred to the association of LOTs through undivided proportionate share transfer to specific LOT. And then the promoter gets Block B plan revised. Obviously, it is after 2 to 3 years of the Block A. By that time, there can be or there may be some changes in the GDCR, and promoter opts to have utilized the entire FSI available on the entire land, that is land belonging to Block A and Block B both. And then they seek the permission of construction up to 14 floors for Block B. Here, the reasonable part of FSI belonging to Block A has been utilized or has been considered by promoter for being utilized for Block B. Now, RERA Act ensures that this intangible property right attached and appertaining to the land title is belonging to the title holders, and once the title is transferred to LOTs of a phase or project, then the promoter cannot use it unless he has a commercial understanding with the title holders. So this is a very important empowering by this Real Estate Act through this clause in model agreement for sale. Another important aspect, as I elaborated briefly in the last session, that the Act defines LOT as the initial LOT and all subsequent LOTs as well. Clause 21 of draft model AFS is about this only. It empowers the LOT to transfer his allotment rights through a proper transfer documentation. And clause 24 is about how LOT can communicate this proper transfer to the promoter of the real estate, by which the subsequent LOT acquires all rights and becomes liable for all obligations under this contract towards the promoter of the real estate. So this is also a very enabling and empowering provision which is there in the agreement for sale. The severability clause, the registration requirement, warranties and obligations of promoter and LOTs. The Act tries to balance the responsibilities and obligations between LOT and promoter both. LOTs are duty bound to participate in formation of association of LOTs, through appropriate payments, through appropriate documentation, give their signatures on necessary documents, formation of association of LOT. All these obligations are cast upon LOT. Promoter is now duty bound to take money only when he has attained a reasonable level of development work. But then once he has attained the level of development work and he has issued the request to LOT for payment, then the payment LOTs are duty bound to make these payments within prescribed time limits. If they don't, then promoter has right to cancel the allotment in accordance with the agreement for sale, and he can ensure his business interest. So broadly, the act intends to balance the right and obligations of promoter and LOTs at both the end. But before regulations, the sector was not regulated, so the market was seller's market. Now the regulation intends to make them arm's length contracts, wherein both the parties are extended necessary security of their rights and both parties are cast upon necessary obligations, responsibility. The model agreement for sale also requires specifications of real estate property to be communicated in form of schedules to the agreement for sale. It requires promoter to demonstrate the date by which he intends to provide the possession to the LOT. So this is the legal document aspects. I have tried and covered them briefly. So now I would like request to host to put it open for questions on the legal document aspects for RERA project registration.
Yes, sir. So the question which has been asked is, do we need to submit any evidence of 10 years of practice of lawyer? That is what someone has posted. So if we are submitting a title clearance report of any lawyer, and as we have to take it from a lawyer who has completed 10 years of practice, because he wants to ask on that aspect. Sir, if you can throw some light.
Yeah, Gujarat RERA portal as of now is not having a KYC possibility for all the stakeholders who are dealing with real estate projects. However, friends, I am happy to share with you that in the future times, within few months, Gujarat RERA is coming up with a revised portal, upgraded portal, in which all consultants dealing with real estate project, namely architect, engineer, chartered accountant, structural engineer, quality engineer, map consultants, lawyers, company secretaries or cost accountants, all these individuals, promoters and LOTs and their promoters authorized representatives, all these individuals dealing with a real estate project registered with Gujarat RERA will have to personally submit their KYC details. They have to get associated with portal, and as part of this KYC, what you are aware of that for chartered accountants, we are online connected with ICAI. ICAI has been objective and graceful in allowing us a systemic access to their database. So we are having a systemic record of chartered accountants associated with various registered projects and intending to deal with Gujarat RERA. Similarly, the lawyers would also be required to carry out their KYC, submit their details, their bar council registration numbers and other aspects, and based on which their association with Gujarat RERA and their competence to carry out the respective task. If it is about title clear certificates, then there are association of title certificate processing advocates as well, lawyers. So there are such bodies with which authority would be dealing to identify and put in place the mechanism by which we recognize each and every professional that he is competent to carry out the work as envisaged under the Act, rules and regulations.
Yes, sir. The next question is, why is the only 7/12 entry in the name of the firm or promoter in case of recently purchased land? Has been asked. I guess that is what Kishan Nathwani wants to ask.
Now, this is an exceptional situation, sir, because what happens that that as a part of revenue record updation procedure, they get the name of the purchaser entered into the record as a kachi nond in Gujarati terminology. Then this kachi nond is followed by the notices under the revenue code to sellers, each seller in case of multiple sellers, and their responses are to be received in a given date, appropriate time. And then if there are no adverse observations are found, then the revenue authorities over the on the lapse of say 30 days or different timelines applicable and to the particular circumstances of a transaction, they make the final updation entry into revenue records. Now, in an exceptional situation, at times some promoter do outright purchase the document. They have a title cleared report before their purchase transaction. They ensure and receive the kachi nond as well, and non-encumbrance certificate up to the transaction status are also submitted. However, authority do not consider them as final, but then prima facie the promoter cannot be denied his right to get project registered and start his business activity, that is development work and marketing and booking and other aspects. In such exceptional situation, if registration is to be processed on kachi nond level, then a rigorous due diligence of all the documents is carried out, and additional affidavits and other additional legal documents are also requested from the promoter, and only on submission of those documents, warranties and undertakings along with affidavits as developed and identified on case-to-case basis by legal team of Gujarat RERA, the registration is carried out. So in a general parlance, we should not focus much on this aspect because it is an exceptional circumstances and exceptional scenario. In a normal circumstances, all legal documents are to be in place, have to be in place, and then only a project registration is carried out.
Kishan bhai, I have unmuted you, so if you want to ask something more, then you can put the question to the faculty. Okay, I guess Kishan bhai is not there. Now the next question is from Ramesh Bhai Pujara. When we submit performa of sale deed and sale agreement at the time of registration, and afterwards any clauses are being added by Guj-RERA with the circular, then are we supposed to change our performa that already given? Sir, what happens, like as you are aware, certain promoters have not added clauses which has been envisaged by Gujrera, and I guess then after Gujrera has clarified it. So whether they have submitted some old formats, are they required to change the format or not, sir? Pathak sir, if you can.
Okay. Here, friends, Gujarat RERA has till today, not prescribed any additional clause into model agreement for sale as prescribed by Gujarat government in Annexure A of Gujarat RERA General Rules 2017. So nothing is newly prescribed. The draft agreement for sale or model agreement for sale prescribed by the rules encompasses all the conditionalities. It empowers the promoter to put in additional conditions, project specific conditions, transaction specific amendments, if and only if they are not ultra virus to the object provisions of Act, rules and regulations. So it's an enabling provision. But then if some promoter has dropped certain necessary conditionalities, which Gujarat RERA has also observed, and Gujarat RERA has subsequently issued guidance or circulars or orders for better understanding of promoters and LOTs and consultants. That doesn't mean that if they have submitted some pro forma, which in the initial period of Gujarat RERA registration time 2017-18 precisely, by which our internal processes for legal due diligence was yet to be put in place and augmented to the robust due diligence capacities in terms of manpower training and other aspects. If there are certain clauses which are ultra virus or which are missing, not in compliance to the Act, then promoters are duty bound to execute appropriate agreement for sale encompassing all the necessary clauses in compliance to pro forma of agreement for sale prescribed by state government in general rules. Next, please. I am not having the sound.
The next question is from Mr. Nirav Parekh. He wants to ask that what are the legal documentation to be carried out when land is being brought in as a capital by the partner of the promoter firm or LLP. Nirav, I have unmuted your mic, so if you want to ask anything, you can. Yes, sir. Pathak, sir.
Sir, our order circular 13 or maybe 14 about this legal documents requirement is specifically elaborating on this question, and it is supported by the superintendent of stamps effective type of observations communicated to Gujarat RERA as well. So I would request Nirav sir to go through this, and for all various type of transfers to ensure that proper documentation has taken place and appropriate legal levies are paid off. Those procedures are elaborated in that document.
So Chirag bhai had asked, does lawyer require to mention in the TCR that proper stamp duty is paid and the registration requirement are fulfilled?
Sir, what we have submitted along with our circular 14, it clearly mandates that the title report is to be issued only on the basis of appropriate legally enforceable documents by the lawyers. So if the document is not executed appropriately, if no its legal enforceability is under doubts, then obviously those documents are not to be considered by lawyers as appropriate for issuance of their opinion on title.
Sir, the next question is, sir, can we go to next question?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Share project land is to be paid to respective member, mentioning the same in sale deed to respective member, or it should be conveyed society considering it as a common area.
Sir, Gujarat RERA Authority Order 13 is specifically for these purposes, wherein it is very clearly elaborated that the undivided proportionate share of the land be transferred to respective LOT without specifying, because it is not identifiable, but his share in the undivided proportionate share of land is to be mentioned in the sale deed, along with the fact that the association of LOT has been formed and the administration of the society, including the undivided or undivided share of land, collectively the entire piece and parcel of land and common amenities, is the management is administration and management is handed over to this cooperative maintenance society. It is very clearly and elaborately explained through supportive documents by Order 13 of the authority. Now, sir, we shall take one or two questions and then we would like to move to Form 3.
I guess it's a longer one, so let me. Project engineer can issue 1 and 2 respectively for all quarter filing. Pathak sir?
Can a project architect or project engineer can issue Form 1 and 2 respectively for all quarterly return filing? Sir, I am not able to understand the nuanced aspect that the participant is trying to to clarify. Can a project architect or project engineer can issue Form 1 and 2 respectively? That is, architect issuing Form 1 and engineer issuing Form 2 for all quarter return filing. So
I mean,
if promoter doesn't change, if promoter doesn't change architect or engineer for form certification, then they may keep on filing them. If promoter changes in between, then
yes. So he might want to ask in the relation to a chartered accountant. As a chartered accountant, for quarterly return, you must have a different auditor than the what is a audit than the auditor for annual.
Sir, this is a very, if that is the case, that whether individual A can file as an architect as well and as an engineer as well, if he happens to be qualified in both the things. But then, sir, architects are also governed by Architect Act. They have their own council as ICAI, and their professional ethics also require them that a practicing architect cannot practice otherwise than architect. So, there can, this is an academic question. I don't know whether in real life anybody would be venturing to risk his professional practice.
Any problem to promoter if he receive full consideration even though project is at 15% stage of completion?
So there is a one enabling clause in model agreement for sale for speedy payment or advance payment by LOT to promoter and in that situation, what would be the cash discount sort of a thing? What would be the cash discount or some reduction or some reward, economic reward that promoter would be extended to LOT because of the upfront payment on project that is required to be mentioned in agreement for sale, so that there is an enabling provision in the agreement for sale. So in terms of act, agreement for sale has to be carried out for any payment to be received in excess of 10% of consideration. However, agreement for sale also warrants that payment up to 95% can be received before procuring or securing the building use permission. So the last 5% can only be secured once you have claimed or asked for, only when you have attained the construction or development activity level in which you have successfully secured the building use permission. So last 5% is to be received only after BU permission at the time of executing the sale deed and handing over the possession. So between this 10% and 95%, there is an enabling provision in the agreement for sale for which a cash discount can be offered by promoter. LOT can happily receive it and make the payment before achieving the construction stages.
Sir, one query starts that is there any mechanism so we can able to see that the BU is received by the builder or a promoter in that project? So is there any online or medium available where we can go and check whether the BU is available, BU is granted or not? Are you aware of or is there any platform, sir?
Sir, Gujarat RERA itself is requiring promoter to submit block level BU permission received along with their quarterly project progress submissions as part of their architect certificate part A, that is block level detail. When the block level progress details are submitted, block level NOCs and block level BU permissions can be submitted by promoters, which when submitted are public documents and are put into on Gujarat RERA portal for public view. If
Yes,
not
sir.
at block level, at the project completion compliance, project end submission also, promoters are required to submit BU permissions which are available. And at development regulatory authority level, also consumer can inquire about their commencement certificate with their commencement certificate details and see that the BU permissions are issued or not. They can cross check whether the online applications are available with those local authorities or development regulations. They are geographically segregated and they are different individual authorities. So I am not able to give a consolidated reply for them. Yeah.
Done, sir. So, sir, now we can move ahead with your presentation, and you can start next topic, sir.
So now is the slide visible?
Yes.
Okay, it is now there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, friends. Now we have covered the plan approval requirement, the project level requirement, the legal document requirement, and now before moving to the form 3 and means of finance aspect, one inventory aspect is left over, so I will start focusing on that also. That now this form 3 and form 5 are very important documents for project progress monitoring and project completion ensuring by delivery date, because as you all are chartered accountants and you are aware that very good business ideas, if they are not managed very well on financial aspects about the liquidity requirements, timing of those liquidity requirements, and ensuring the appropriate modes and means for securing those liquidities in time, then the entire plan goes haywire. And a very good design, a very good parcel of land in a very good locality, consumers are also on board, they have booked, but if the financial management of the project is missed out, then the actual execution of the project gets hampered in a severe manner, and every stakeholder connected with the project gets an adverse impact. So this financial discipline is very important. Now, you all are chartered accountants, most of you practicing in RERA. If you are now planning to do, you can go through the institute publication and authority publications about what are the forms and what are the informations that are required in these forms. So what is available in prescribed forms, how these informations are to be submitted, that is also, we have a reasonable amount of publications, orders, circulars, guidance on those. However, we will try and cover some important that how we can collect, collate, collaborate, calculate, compile, and submit those data necessary in various forms. But friends, I would like to discuss the whys of all this data with you today. Consider it is as sharing of my experience with you, that whatever the fields are there in form 3 or form 5 or means of finance, each set of data or each set of information has a direct correlation to an real life application scenario for ensuring that the real estate project culminates into handing over of possession of the real estate into the hands of the LOT. Friends, the act says that each and every apartment, in the definition of the apartment, whether it is commercial use or business use or residential use or plots, each and every inventory is to be identified, registered forehand before the marketing and selling activity commences. The agreement for sale and other enabling clauses, sections and rules which presumes to empower the consumer to be able to become an LOT and to bring on board the subsequent LOT for a real estate project, also mandates there is information pertaining to the LOT to be collected. If the promoter is not able to complete the project, or he is not being seen as approaching necessary development targets with respect to time lapse for achieving the completion of the development work by the project end date in terms of section 7 of the act, then he can be summoned, he can be given directions, there can be conditions put upon, and he has to demonstrate that he has regrouped, and with a renewed focus and vigor he is now working towards achieving the completion of development work by the project end date. And if the registration lapses in terms of section 8, then the promoter is or can be removed from the project if authority finds it appropriate. Association of LOTs can be given first opportunity to complete their project, which may include on a legal term. Association of LOT may opt for the erstwhile promoter to finish the unfinished work with the stipulated conditionalities and directives. And if these circumstances arose, that is section 8 implications, then the rule 8 also comes into picture, which cast upon the responsibility on the authority, that in case or in circumstances in which authority has to remove the promoter from the project, then authority has to communicate with the association of the LOTs. It also envisages that there can be a situation wherein the association of the LOT is not formed for obvious reasons of minimum number of LOTs have not booked, or 50% of the bookings for the total inventory of the project has not happened. In that scenario, the authority under the law is expected to communicate with each of the LOT and collectively with all of them who have not yet become an association of LOTs, but still authority needs to communicate with them. So authority needs to have LOT specific KYC details, communication ability. Now the rule 8 also cast upon obligation on the authority, in case the promoter is removed from the project, to communicate with all the investors or lenders for the real estate project as well. The other individuals or entities who are having their interest in a real estate project, including the financial institutions, housing finance institutions, banks, project loan bankers, private equity providers, specified debt instrument lenders. So if authority is cast upon responsibility to take care of all these aspects in case the situation warrants, then authority has to have all these informations as well. And therefore the annexure to form 3 envisages to collect the total inventory details for a real estate project. Now this total inventory for a real estate project are dependent on the real estate project plan approved and application for registration. What application for registration is made? If the entire layout plan is having 5 buildings, then the inventory for all 5 buildings would become inventory for a project if the entire layout is registered at one go. But if the promoter opts for registering first 2 blocks only as a phase, then the layout plan would be demonstrating inventory for 5 blocks, whereas the inventory for the project under registration would be inventory belonging to the first 2 blocks only. So in these circumstances, identification of project under registration and through that the inventory under registration becomes an important aspect. So this declaration promoter has to carry out on Gujarat RERA portal by defining the blocks under his project and then submitting the details of inventory in each block, including the type of inventories, that is residential, commercial, shops, offices, godowns. So Gujarat RERA has enabled submission of creation of blocks and submission of block inventory. Then architects are requested to submit, of course in consultation with promoter, the execution plan for real estate project. In architect's form, there are 2 aspects seen on your screen. For block A of a real estate project comprising of block A and block B and common amenities. Architects are supposed to submit these 10 activity details. And now Gujarat RERA has come out with Circular 22 requiring the project end date and project start date along with block level activity wise start date and end date submission. This activity wise end date and start date submission enables generation of the Gantt chart for particular block, then block B, common amenities, and then a combined Gantt chart for all the blocks of real estate to be developed along with common amenities between their project start date 1/1/20 and project end date 31/12/22 spread over 3 years, 12 quarters, and each quarter is subdivided into a monthly square depicting the overlap of the activities progress. Now this information project execution plan is very necessary for chartered accountant to derive the development cost expenditure timing estimation, which is to be submitted as part of means of finance, because the projected expenditure are to be projected in sync with the projected activity schedule. So when authority decided to enable the promoters to have better project management oversight and control for project execution and to be aware of project execution risk, financing risk, and as part of planning for mitigating any inherent risk, internal or external, for the project, then those estimations, projections to be reliable and thought out plans, they have to be in sync with the development plans as well. So authority has made it mandatory to submit activity block level activity wise start date and end date in architect form, to have a Gantt chart of project progress plan, and to make it available for chartered accountants and promoters together to chalk out their means of finance projections. Form 2 engineer certificate is to be derived on the basis of bill of material and bill of quantity that is prepared by a quantity surveyor working for engineer or working with engineer or for promoter. This bill of material and bill of quantity, when devised properly, enables the engineer to submit engineer certificate form 2 part A and part B information, part A for each block in the project and part B for common amenities, and the estimated cost incurred till date during the course of project and quarterly submissions at the time of registration as well, and the remaining cost yet to be incurred on the particular block or common amenities. The engineer certificate also enables engineer to submit cost details in table C, that is additional work that has been carried out over and above the estimated work to be carried out for each block and common amenities during the course of project execution over the period of 1 year, 2 year, or 2.5 years, if there are certain expenditures on activities which were not part of estimated activities for the project development, then those costs can be reported as incurred cost into part C of the engineer certificate. And friends, as such, these form 1 and form 2 both are certificates provided by external experts which chartered accountant relies upon while certifying form 3 for a real estate project. Now form 3 chartered accountant certificate predominantly tries and capture the real estate development estimated cost estimation at the time of registration through estimation column in the form, the land cost, the redevelopment cost as part of land cost in case of project is of a redevelopment, then the 4 components of development, that is actual construction cost, the on-site expenditure, the statutory and legal charges to AUDA, municipality for other NOCs and permissions, railway NOC, airport NOC, lift license, fire NOC, all these expenditures as part of payment of tax, sales, fees, premium, interest, etc. And interest payable to financial institutions, scheduled bank, non-banking financial institutions, or money lenders, or construction funding, or money borrowed for construction, that is unsecured loans as well. Any interest paid on these borrowings which are attributable to the project development activity is also attributable to the project estimated cost, and it becomes part of incurred and paid expenditure as well during the course of project progress. Now friends, as a chartered accountant, the institute has come out with guidance on certificate and audit under Real Estate Regulation Development Act 2016 publication, which elaborately speaks on the nuances of this certification. Now, as these certifications are different from audit, they are to be seen in that light, that they are not just formation of opinion and expression of opinion, they are certificates. So whatever the data is submitted into these certificates are as actual and on the basis of verifications, necessary verifications, appropriate verifications carried out by the certifying professional. So as a practicing professional, your approach to these certificates should be of that you have carried out necessary verification of documents and collaborative evidences, audit evidences, to ensure that the figures you are putting or accepting as part of your certificate are appropriate and factually correct. So this certificate is basically aimed at giving promoter the authority to withdraw money out of separate bank account created for every real estate project. Now let me take back again to the registration process for the first timers, that every real estate project to be registered with RERA has to have a separate bank account as provided under section 4(2)LD, and from amongst the money received by promoter from allottees of this real estate project, 70% of the money collected from allottees must be credited into this separate RERA bank account opened for specific project, and any withdrawal out of this 70% money credited into RERA project specific bank account, separate bank account. Withdrawal is allowed only on the basis of certification by architect, engineer and chartered accountant, demonstrating demonstrating the limit for withdrawal of money, which is in proportion to the percentage of completion of construction work for the project. And here the proportionate completion of construction work encompasses both the aspects of the project estimated cost, that is the land cost and the development cost, as elaborated briefly. So land cost also encompasses the purchased FSI cost, the additional payment for construction rights to local authorities, transferred development rights as approved by the local authority, and any cost for those things are to be incorporated in this form as part of land cost. Now, the estimation of cost is reported into Form 3. The receipts from LOTs, 70% of the monies are to be credited into separate account. And then on the basis of construction activity actually carried out at site and the payments made out for towards land and development, the incurred and paid expenditure are to be reported in Form 3. Now these incurred and paid expenditure are to be literally understood in the terms by using both the terms incurred and paid. The term incurred means when the liability towards the payment is created into books of account, and paid symbolizes actual payout towards satisfaction of those liabilities for material, land or labor or other cost for the project. So friends, as a chartered accountant, you are expected to carry out the proper verification of books of account. You are expected to rely on certification by architect and chartered accountants. You can rely in terms of SA 620 by taking due care that you are professionally expected to take care of for reliance on other professional work of other professional experts. You are also expected to keep in sight the guidance note issued by Institute on Revenue Recognition on Construction Contracts 2012 and AS7 for considering various costs, direct cost attributable to real estate project in terms of provisions of RERA Act and Rule to be considered as incurred and paid expenditure on the project. Once the incurred and paid expenditure on the project is properly identified and reported by chartered accountant in this Form 3, it calculates the net amount, the amount at serial number 6 you can see on your screen, amount which can be withdrawn from the designated account, total estimated cost as proportion of total cost multiplied by proportion of cost incurred and paid. So the amount which can be withdrawn from the separate account emerges in this certificate. When you put at serial number 7 amount withdrawn till date of this certificate as per the books of account and bank statement, then the net amount which can be withdrawn from the designated bank account under this certificate emerges, and this is a limit up to which, this is a cumulative limit up to which promoter can withdraw monies out of a separate account, provided there are LOT receipts credited into those accounts and sufficient balance is available in separate account for withdrawal, because it is dependent on the sales and marketing activity of the promoter. There can be a situation wherein construction work is progressing as expected, but then the marketing, booking and receipt are not up to the expected level. Then there may be there emerges a situation wherein there is withdrawable limit available with the promoter, but the balance is not there. In that scenario, as soon as the balance emerges into the account, the promoter can keep on withdrawing them up to the cumulative limit approved by the chartered accountant certificate. Once he exhausts this limit, he has to again approach the professionals, that is architect, engineer and chartered accountant, and based on additional work that he has carried out, additional payouts that he has made towards the project execution, the revised or increased enhanced limit emerges into Form 3, and this is how promoter can keep on executing the real estate project, making necessary payouts from amongst his own working capital or his capital infused into business, or from the 30% monies he is allowed to retain for execution of the project. And as he demonstrates execution of the project, he can withdraw from the separate account as well. So friends, I was discussing about whys of this information. So now you are aware that each and every information is collected with a purpose. The LOT details, when authority was evaluating that what should be the extent of information that authority should collect from real estate promoter about the LOTs of the project. So the name of the LOT, the booking detail first, that the apartment is booked or unbooked. If it is booked, then the name of the LOT must come. Now if the name of the LOT must come, then it has to be a genuine LOT. We cannot allow a scenario in which a non-authenticated or inappropriate name is reported to authority, because as I have briefly elaborated, the Act empowers the LOTs as well to transfer their allotment to a subsequent LOT. So authority had to keep this LOT detail submission open on quarterly basis, that flat number A101 allotted to Mr. A. Mr. A keeps on paying towards it for 4 quarters, and then he transfer it to Mr. C. Then the promoter should have the ability to change these details in his 5th OPR and demonstrate the current status with respect to LOTs of the rightful LOTs of the real estate project. Monies they have agreed to towards purchase of real estate, money they have already paid towards their agreed amount, and money yet to be paid by them towards agreed amount, along with the LOT KYC details. When we started thinking of KYC, the issues came, okay, PAN number may be sufficient. Somebody said housewives are also real estate buyers, might not be having PAN number. Okay, then voter ID card or driving license. And somebody said, okay, there are NRI investors in the real estate project as well. So came the passport details. So after detailed deliberations, the 4 type of KYCs were finalized. that is PAN number, license, Aadhaar, and passport. So friends, this is how, for ensuring the real life implementation of various enabling provisions of Act and rules, the authority, as part of implementation of Act and rules, as part of regulations, has come out with these forms for architect, engineer, and chartered accountant, which collectively try and gather all necessary information for smooth and swift implementation of real estate project, including the swift, objective, and speedy disposal of grievance redressals between the parties to the contract. Here, friends, parties to the contract act through Rule 8 also envisaged that if there are third party interest in the project, then those third party interests are also to be served in circumstances of Section 8 or Rule 8 implementation, that is debarring promoter from the project. Then authorities should have all the details on those aspects as well, that who are the lenders, how much they have lended, what are the terms and conditions of their lending, whether the lending is secured on authority, that the project inventory or project land, or there are other securities extended. So the lender detail segment came into picture, and then promoters are required to submit these informations. Here again, submission of information has to be submission of appropriate information, reliable information. So they are being made part of chartered accountant certificate, so that authority receives verified data and information. And they are also being made part of chartered accountant certificate because chartered accountants are also expected to consider the interest cost on the project. Now, if a promoter is having 5 projects and having multiple borrowings, secured, unsecured, for various projects as a whole as part of his business, then unless he identifies and gives them to chartered accountant that okay, for this project this is the set of borrowing, then only chartered accountant can identify the borrowing cost to be charged to the project under consideration for certification. So these are enabling provisions that as part of Form 3, when promoter is required to provide all this information to chartered accountant, it collectively enables the chartered accountant to objectively carry out his examination, verification of data and information, and then prepare certificates that they have to submit to authority through promoters. Friends, there are other regulatory enabling requirements also for smooth implementation of the Act. That is, Act warrants that once promoter intends to collect monies in excess of 10% of real estate consideration, he must have to enter into an agreement for sale, AFS. So this is a regulatory aspect. Now this AFS, prima facie people will say, okay, authority intends to see that whether the AFS is carried out or not. Yes, it is of course one of the prominent requirements to empower the consumer with respect to his rights, but it is also an elementary necessary foundation requirement for speedy grievance redressal. Because if a complainant comes to authority that I have paid 80% of the money, I have yet not entered into an agreement for sale, then the grievance redressal for RERA registered project becomes very difficult or time consuming. So to eliminate these aspects, this submission of date of agreement of sale has been incorporated into the Form 3. Now one more why, which is the enabling why, that once authority makes it mandatory on promoter to demonstrate the date of agreement of sale, it enables the chartered accountant to rightfully ask for the document registered agreement for sale for examination and scrutiny, from which the reliable data on agreed price for the real estate, money received till date and money yet to be received becomes identifiable. So friends, all these requirements are intertwined, interconnected like a web of a spider, each one independently important and then contributing to the importance of or execution of some other professional or some other important information. So I request all of you, as part of practicing consultants, chartered accountants, to see the whys of these forms, so that they will obviously help you out in charting out the hows of how you can identify and derive the reliable information to be made part of your certification. The Form 3 certification is enhanced to the extent wherein chartered accountant can now comment upon the coherence between the project progress reported by architect and engineer. Friends, this is also an enabling provision for chartered accountant, because Institute ICAI also recommends that chartered accountant must have an eye on the appropriateness of project progress certified by architect and engineer. Here the chartered accountant finds that no, the Form 1 and Form 2 does not seem in coherence, then he is empowered to an extent that then he can ask authoritatively from promoter the reasons for non-coherence, and then he has to submit those reasons as part of his certification, and any additional observations or assumptions that he has relied upon or carried out for his certification, that can be submitted through this revised digitally signed enabled Form 3 of Gujarat RERA. This form also enables submission of UDIN number. Gujarat RERA is amongst the leading organization at India in national level who has positively captured this UDIN number submission, which makes each certificate issued by chartered accountant uniquely identifiable, and it improves the authenticity of the certificate as well in terms of the systems that ICAI has devised and deployed. So friends, here I stop the narrating aspect of Form 3. In the next session, we will go on means of finance and the overall coherence of Form 1, Form 2, Form 3 towards better financial planning, execution planning of RERA registered real estate project for promoters and consultants as a whole, better risk management as well. So now I request host to put the session open for few of the questions, if we can prolong the session. However, we have reached 5 p.m. So if required today, or we can push the questions to next session as well, if found appropriate. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, Pathak sir, for a nice deliberation. And what I can understand is that form number 1, 2, and 3 are in one sequence. That once a professional give form number 1, then we have to go to form number 2, and that is what a civil engineer's certificate. And on the basis of this 1 and 2, we as a chartered accountant are required to see books of account of the client and RERA registered project, and then we have to certify what is there in the number in the books of the SSE or project or builder. It might possible, sir, that say architect has certified 45% of completion, engineer certifies 50%, and as per the books of account, incurred and paid are at 55%. So these are the situations. Now, as you are having all the data collated, you might find some situation where architect certified 20%, engineer certified 30%, and chartered accountant certified 80%. So, sir, how you deal with such scenario, or how a chartered accountant should, see the things or do the audit in such type of situations? If you can throw some light.
Okay, so sir, as you have try and elaborated question in a very right fashion, the architect certificate is to demonstrate the physical progress of the project in conformity with the approved plan of the project. So architect is not only visiting, is expected to visit the site in person and to see to it that all the development works carried out are in conformity with the approved project plan. And then once he is satisfied that the construction is in accordance with the plan, then he has to frame his professional judgment that of the total work to be carried out, what is the proportion of work that has taken place. So for architect, it is a professional judgment. It is like doctor examining a patient with a stethoscope. It may differ from doctor to doctor. Judgment would have some degree of variations. However, for professional qualified doctors, there won't be a great difference in their diagnosis. So here, for professionally qualified architects, authority expects that two different architects would be coming out with a reasonably comparable estimation of a work carried out with respect to planned activity. If you can see in form A, then they are written that 18 slabs are there in this block at serial number 5. Now if 7 blocks are carried out from 18, then there is a 7 slabs are carried out, then there is a reasonable estimation possibility for a professional architect to attribute percentage completion for this activity. So architects are expected to visit site, use their professional judgment and certify the completion percentage. On the other hand, in the engineer's form, if 13 slabs are to be carried out, then he must be having his bill of material, bill of quantity as enumerated by quantity surveyor, and based on the rates in this BOM and BOQ, he would have the economic value of concrete work to be carried out. Now, for the total economic value for concrete work to be carried out, if 7 slabs are carried out till today, and the quantity consumed for bringing up these 7 slabs would enable him to quantify the amount of expenditure incurred on that block. Now, when you compare both of these things, as I have given some hypothetical data, architect from 14 slabs, if 7 is done, he would certify around 50%. Engineer from 14 slabs, if 7 are carried out, he would certify around 65% of incurred expenditure, because disproportionate amount of concrete is generally consumed in a foundation slabs. So the top top 7 slab might consume less concrete than the bottom 7 slab. So there is this genuine possibility of 10 to 15% percentage term certification, but then there cannot be a vast deviations that architect certifying 40% and engineer certifying 80%. We want chartered accountants to be mindful of those deviations if they are prima facie of a huge gap, and then they erode reasonable suspicion in their mind, to interact with the promoter to identify the reasons of such deviation, and if for a given project for explained circumstances and documents provided you are able to form up your views, then you can definitely go on with your certification without any hesitations.
Sir, thank you very much. Sir, I have compiled 27 questions till 4:50 p.m. So there is a paucity of time, and I request you, if you can give a quick answer, like rapid fire round, then we will take it.
I
Yes,
understand, sir. Let us quickly finish off.
yeah. So first, once all the flats are sold or transferred to LOTs by the promoter, what legal documents procedure are required to be done to transfer apartment land in the name of Flat Owners Association?
Formation of Flat Owners Association under Gujarat Cooperatives Societies Act as a cooperative maintenance society, or under Companies Act Section 8 company, and then handing over the administration, bank account and other documents to this association is sufficient.
Some of builders are selling inventories at super built up rate and drafting agreement with carpet rates. Is it legal as per RERA?
It is not legal. The model agreement for sale requires them to write as per carpet area, obviously. So as an authority or as a consumer, your rights are protected through what is written, what is orally said, and what you have listened orally can be overlooked if you have entered into a formal agreement for sale.
Do Gujarat RERA register the project which is encumbered and legal litigation going on such land?
On a specific case-to-case basis, such scenarios, if application is submitted to Gujarat RERA, then the legal team of Gujarat RERA evaluates them case-to-case basis, because encumbrance or legal litigation, these two terms does not demonstrate the gravity of onerousness on the real estate project. So in terms of examination of those gravities, authority takes appropriate decision.
So as per section 2U defines engineer as a person having bachelor's degree in engineering. It does not compulsorily require the engineer to hold the local authority license number. Then why Guj RERA required local authority license number compulsory for engineer who issue form number 2? As those engineers who are working on site on daily basis might not possess the same. The same is not applicable in case of MahaRERA.
These are jurisdictional questions. I will not comment on other RERA authorities. For Gujarat RERA has resorted only to the practice adopted by the local authorities under Development Regulation Act. So no engineer qualified by any university in India can simply go and submit a civil engineer plan for a project to be considered by AMC, because the engineer has to be first registered with AMC as fulfilling their
Yes, so I can say that in the beginning, one querist asked that how to see that advocate is of having 10 years of practice, and at that time we are not able to do the due diligence properly. But in case of engineer, since due diligence has been done by the local at local level.
Yes, absolutely, sir. You are absolutely right. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, sir, yes.
And for lawyers also, it will emerge slowly, appropriately. Authority is seized of the requirement, and sooner the later it will will come in.
And it's a valid step in the interest of the home buyers and for which
And
RERA
yes,
is being formed.
For
Next
the-
question
for
is
the
LOTs are
ecosystem
not
as a
agreed. Yes, LOTs are not agreed to create society and registration process of society is quite lengthy. Promoter unable to file and return after BU. How Gujarat RERA help? I guess if you want to skip, we can skip, sir.
There cannot be excuses given to LOTs. They are duty bound.
Yes.
Promoter can
Next
be a
question,
complainant to authority.
yes. FSI up to
Promoter
the
can
level of
complain.
BU. Okay, sir. FSI up to the level of BU is belonging to promoter. Is it right?
Yes, you can consider in an aspect that project alteration applications are received and processed by authority up to the time of completion of the project under Gujarat RERA. So while the
But sir,
project is under consideration, it can be altered under section 14 or section 15 in case of plan changes or in case of ownership changes, but both require approval of 2/3 of the LOTs of the real estate project. So it cannot be termed that it belongs to builder alone, but builder can take decision keeping LOTs on his side.
Sir, next is for the projects which are not registered under RERA. Is there any remedy available for the LOTs in a situation where after completion of the entire project, promoter is not ready to transfer the terrace right, and also promoter wants to construct additional floors in future when FSI is increased? I guess you have given the answer, but if you want to, yes.
No, this is the legal rights of the consumers are protected under the Act.
Form 3 CA certificate allows to withdraw 100% amount towards land cost irrespective of percentage of completion of the development work. Is my understanding is correct?
Your understanding is absolutely correct, provided the land cost is incurred and paid, verified from the books of accounts that the entity, promoter entity or promoter has paid it out to the landowner.
Sometimes sufficient member, that is 11 registered agreement not made after BU and project end quarter is due. How to comply with?
Put your actual situation, the truth in your project and completion compliance affidavit and submit your project completion formalities. Authority will be seized of the truth you have submitted. If required, it can be verified by other submissions and site visit and personal examination by authority officials. So long as you are submitting the truth, you can submit the truth in your project completion compliance affidavit.
So the question is, there are 10 friends and those 10 friends are coming together buying the land and in joint name and in the name of their partnership form for construction of apartment with 10 units for them only. Does it require registration?
Does it
they are
make,
not going to,
does
they are not going to sell it.
Does they enter into a buyer-seller relationship at any point of time? If anybody amongst them acquires the status of seller, which makes another the buyer, then registration is necessary.
If payment received by promoter exceed 10%, but LOT is but allotment or AFS is not paid yet, is this violation?
Of course, it's a regulatory violation.
Is it compulsory to execute agreement of sale if sale deed is already executed? And what is the answer in form 5 if sale deed are executed and agreement of sale are not executed? Sir, is it compulsory to execute agreement of sale if sale deed is already executed? And what is the answer in form 5 if sale deed are executed and Banaka, that is agreement for sale, is not executed? Sir, is it compulsory to agreement? I guess it is repetitively.
Yes, it is compulsory. I had told that section 13 warrants that no promoter shall collect more than 10% of the value of real estate without entering into agreement for sale.
Next question is, if there is some minor change in the unit, no details only of form 3, there is no change in plans or any area, can they do it without alterations?
Section 14 is very clear on this, that when the alterations are minor and when they become major, where 2/3 LOT's approval and the authority approval is necessary.
If booking amount received is below 10% of total value, then which date is to be mentioned in form 3 annexure in column that requires us date of sale to agreement?
I think in previous sessions I have replied this question. It is the first date on which the transaction for sale or purchase commences.
Promoter can apply for modification of estimated cost of project as there is change in development cost and interest cost.
At the time of project alteration application under section 14, estimated cost can be changed and not otherwise.
Is it compulsory to have form 1, form 2, form 3 of the same date? Kindly note that I am not talking of date of issue of certificate. I am talking about date of visit in form 1, 2 and date up to which expenses are certified in form 3. What if a chartered accountant want to issue certificate on another date? Sir, I can say
the
that
understanding,
preliminary
the
discussion.
understanding is clear. Site visit dates are dates of certificate, and hence date of certificate signing by architect engineer can be different. But a chartered accountant's books of verification can be different than the site visit date and date of signing of certificate by architect and engineer. But it cannot be far different than the site visit dates, because in that sense your ability to verify the books of account with respect to incurred expenditure reduces.
Sir, next question is Gantt chart to be submitted quarterly with architect certificate?
No friends, once at the time of registration you have given activity wise start date and end date, the Gantt chart will be prepared in grayscale, and as and when architect submits the percentage completion progress in quarterly certificates, the coloring of the Gantt chart will automatically take care.
Sir, is it compulsory to have quantity surveyor? Is it compulsory to have MEP consultants?
I have not come across a real estate project without quantity survey or map consultancy being carried out by the same engineer or some staff in the promoter's office or some specific practicing consultant. But all these are essential professionals for the project execution.
Sir, next question is form 3 CA certificate allows to withdraw 100% amount towards land cost irrespective of percentage of completion of development work. Yes, I guess we have taken this. Whether interest
provided it is incurred and paid.
Yeah.
Provided it is incurred and paid.
Whether interest paid to partners are eligible for interest cost in form 3 of CA certificate for registration if we have shown this as a cost to the project capital which has been.
I am sorry to say, but institute has clearly denied that this should not be considered.
Sir, during your deliberation, you have talked about one of the guidance note. So, which guidance note were you referring to?
Sir, one guidance note on this, which are the costs which should be considered and which are the costs which should not be considered, is this revenue recognition on construction contract guidance note issued in 2012.
Okay,
has been considered as basis while drafting and devising this form 3 for Gujarat RERA and circular 2.
Sir, next question is what documents required to be filed at the time of project completion compliance?
Now, sir, please don't ask me the list of documents. They are available.
No, sir, we will circulate it. We will circulate it and will try to satisfy the various.
The specific last revision order or circular is there, maybe on 20 around 20 number 18 or 20 number. I am not remembering right now, but it is on the project completion compliance certificates. Now we have added BU map, as part of completion certificate, revenue entry details as well. Please go through the circular.
Sir, next question is it compulsory to mention value in development agreement, or the same can be registered as per gentry value and submitted to RERA authority at the time of registration?
In Form 3, the inventory value is to be mentioned by chartered accountant for booked units as per what is mentioned in the agreement for sale executed. And for unbooked units, the value as mentioned by the promoters management, it can be ASR rate, gentry value, but prima facie, if you put the gentry rate at various geographical locations, the project becomes non-viable because your costs are not covered by your revenues from the LOTs if you submit revenues at gentry rate, where the gentry is not revised recently. So, so the non-viable projects are not registered by RERA.
Which cost shall be included in the payment of tax value, that is 1B in Form 3 CA certificate, whether GST shall be covered?
Sir, GST and direct tax are not part of Form 3. Form 3.
Yes, sir.
Here the statutory charges to AMC, Buda, fire, lift, they are to be mentioned.
The next question is, how can we change the estimated cost of construction or development in Form number 3?
If you change your plan in terms of Section 14, then alteration application allows you to change. Otherwise, there is no need to change because authority doesn't penalize the promoter for completing actual construction, which is with cost in excess of estimate or below estimate. There are no penalties, so estimates are not to be changed.
So, sir, we have completed in this rapid fire round the questions which we have compiled till 4:50, and though we exceeded time by say 30 minutes, we are very much thankful to you, sir, for giving your precious time on this Saturday and addressing us from home. So while doing your homework,
thank you
oblige all of us. Participants, thank you very much for your active participation, and I request all to post the questions till 4:50 p.m. so we can collect your questions. If you left with any questions, then do mail us on branch email ID, that is ahmedabad@icei.org. And now we are going to meet on Monday at 3:30 p.m. But I guess, though we are from home, Pathak sir will be from the office. Sir, once again, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Stay
sir.
home.
Thank you.
Stay home, stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye. We are ending this webinar here.
Thank you.